I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're going to structure teams in this class. We're going to be doing some group work about one assignment in class every week. And we're going to do this in small groups of about 5 or 6 people per team. And you may have noticed that I've already assigned you to teams. What I want to talk a little bit about is why work in teams and why I did that. So why work in teams? I think that a good amount of what we learn from other people. We learn from our peers. We learn from discussing cases, and that's part of what we're going to be doing. And you all come in with different kinds of experiences. We have students that are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. About half of you are education majors, and about half of you are not education majors. You are sociology majors and criminal law and psychology and public health. And so I think you benefit a lot from learning together, bringing your own perspectives in the past courses that you've had to the cases, and from having recently had different kinds of classes. So freshmen are going to have had different classes than seniors. And I think that you can work together and learn a lot from each other. So I think that's a really a good benefit of teams. The way we're going to do this is we're going to do this for class activities, and I'm going to give you a shared Google Sheet. And so everybody in the class is going to have access to this. And the Google Sheet will have tabs with your team number. So right now it's teams 1 through 8, and you'll just log into the Google Sheet, pick the tab that corresponds with your team, and then put your name in the column. And then you'll respond to questions that I pose in class regarding the case or the video or whatever vignette we're working on that day. You'll bring in what you read, your experience, to kind of thinking through what you would do in that case or what your reactions are to that case. And then you'll spend a little bit of time talking to each other about what your thoughts were and come up with a summary of your discussion. And then that summary you'll also put into the Google Sheet, which will feed into a summary sheet, and I'll share that with the class. So that'll be populating on the screen as we go. We do this for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's really good to have a record of your thoughts. I think that by writing down your thoughts and sharing them together gives everybody the opportunity to contribute, whether or not you're somebody who talks a lot or doesn't talk a lot. There's people who are quietly working away and will be able to write in their ideas. And then you can see each other's ideas as they're evolving and work together to come to some kind of consensus or not, right? So I think that will be a really good way of thinking through some of the case studies. One reason that I do case studies is I think it's a really good way to solidify your thinking and to solidify the knowledge that you're learning. Part of what I want you to be able to do is take the information that we're talking about in class and that you're reading about and apply it to a real live case study so that you can kind of think through what the different situations are. How would you respond to this? Are there other cases that might occur that now you might have a plan for? So I think that's the benefit of working on case studies and applying what it is that you're learning. A couple of things that I want you to do this week is to think about maybe a team name. If you want to rename your team, instead of just team 1, you can have a name. You can make a logo for yourself. This is optional. It's something that if teams want to do this, that's fine. And it could make it fun. And I want you to start thinking about team rules. We're going to talk about this a little bit more on Friday, but start thinking about what are your rules for engaging with each other? What are your rules for communication, for participation? What happens if somebody can't make it to class? Are we going to Zoom them? Are you going to Zoom them in so that they can participate? Will they be able to log on to the Google Sheet and participate that way? What happens when somebody is really quiet or kind of taking over the conversation? Do you have rules around that for communication? And how do you make sure that everybody is engaged and is contribute and is is contributing and is making their voice heard. I think that that's really important to kind of think about this from other perspectives. That's one of the great things about bringing a team together who have different majors and different experiences and are different class ranks, is that you can create something novel that you might not have created otherwise, because everybody brings their own experience to it. But sometimes you have to articulate those rules about how you're going to interact with each other so that you have something to fall back on in case something goes awry. And I think that that's really important. And then I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I decided to make teams instead of making you pick your own groups. And there's a couple of reasons. One, I was that introverted kid who could never find a team, or where it's really painful to break into new groups. And so I think that for my younger and current introverted self, I'm picking the teams for you, or I'm picking the groups for you. I think that's one thing. The other thing I think is that when you pick your own groups, people tend to select people that are like them or people that they know. And so I think the disadvantage is that you don't necessarily end up with a variety of opinions and experiences. And sometimes what happens is that like maybe all the seniors would pick each other and go together because they kind of know each other, or all the freshmen might pick each other and go together. And I think that that concentrates certain kinds of knowledge within teams instead of distributing that knowledge across groups. And so I think for me, that's really important to think about ways of doing that. The other thing is we've been in a pandemic for the last 2 years. And so I don't know how well people know each other and can, select groups. So I think that that's, my third reason for going ahead and making the groups. It's a short quarter. And maybe by the end of this period of time, you will have made new connections and maybe made new friends. I look forward to seeing you later this week, and we're going to talk a little bit more on Friday about our team rules, and we'll start doing a group project that's a little bit more asynchronous on Wednesday.